We live in an era where success is often measured by external validation. Social media is flooded with stories of self-promotion, half-baked achievements, and ambitious declarations that lack persistence. People talk about their dreams more than they actually work to make them a reality. But Stoicism teaches us the opposite. True value doesn't lie in words, but in the quiet perseverance of action. The most meaningful achievements don't need to be shouted for attention, because when the time is right, your success will speak for itself. In this video, I'll share with you 7 timeless lessons, distilled from experience and real-life challenges, to help you focus on yourself and achieve true success. If you're serious about transforming your life, then commit to it. Reflect, apply, and take action. Work in silence. Stay focused on your own path, and one day, your success will say it all. Let's begin this journey together. Number 1. Silence your mind. Sharpen your focus. Imagine yourself standing in the middle of a bustling marketplace. The calls of vendors, the chatter of people, the honking of cars, all blending into a chaotic symphony of noise. Amid this whirlwind of sound, you try to listen for a faint melody playing in the distance, but it seems impossible. This is exactly how our minds operate every day. The world constantly bombards us with an endless stream of sounds, information, and emotions. If we don't learn how to cultivate silence, we may never truly hear our own voice. The most successful people are not the loudest ones. They are the ones who have mastered the art of silence. They know how to turn stillness into a weapon, focus into strength, and persistence into victory. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul." If you do not learn to control your own mind, you will forever be a puppet pulled by the strings of the outside world. Think about the last time you were distracted. Maybe it was a phone notification pulling you away from your work. Maybe it was a negative comment that lingered in your thoughts all day. Maybe it was the fear of failure screaming in your mind, stopping you from seizing a great opportunity. Have you ever asked yourself, where do these thoughts come from? Do they truly belong to me? Or are they merely echoes from the outside world, empty words, unverified fears that I have never questioned? Look at Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest swordsman in Japanese history. He was not only a master of the blade, but also a philosopher. In the Book of Five Rings, he wrote, "Fixation is the way to death. Fluidity is the way to life." Musashi understood that if the mind is chained to distractions, one can never reach mastery. To win every battle, he trained not only his swordsmanship, but also his mental stillness. In every duel, no matter how formidable his opponent, his mind remained as calm as still water, for only in stillness can the blade be sharp. If you seek such resilience, you must learn to cut through the noise, eliminate distractions, and master your own mind. There is a paradox. The truly powerful do not need to boast. The greatest swordsmen do not swing their swords recklessly. The most influential leaders do not speak unnecessarily. Have you ever encountered someone who enters a room and says nothing, yet their presence is immediately felt? That is the power of silence. Try this. Spend an entire day without complaining, without making excuses, without seeking validation. Just focus on your work. Observe how the world shifts when you no longer chase recognition. Put yourself in airplane mode, not just for your phone, but for your mind. Dedicate 90 minutes a day to complete disconnection from social media, emails, news, and idle conversations. During this time, engage in something truly meaningful. Read, write, learn a new skill, or create something of value. Albert Einstein once said, "I have no special talents. I am only passionately curious." It was through absolute focus that he saw what others could not. When you remove distractions, your mind gains the space it needs to expand. Every time you find yourself drawn into a meaningless debate, a petty gossip, or a negative thought, ask yourself, is this truly worth my time and energy? Epictetus once taught, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. If a thought does not serve you, why keep it in your mind? Have you noticed that truly successful people rarely brag? Meanwhile, those who constantly talk about their achievements often have little to show. That is because the wise understand that true victory is not in words, it is in action. Remember this, the world does not need to know what you are doing. Let your success be your voice. Once you master the art of silence, you no longer need to prove anything to anyone. You simply move forward, step by step, victory by victory, until the world has no choice but to stop and listen. So here is the final question for you. Do you dare to step into silence and uncover the hidden power within yourself? If your answer is yes, then do not stop, because this is only the beginning. The road ahead will be filled with challenges, but also with invaluable lessons and practical exercises to train yourself, apply them to life, and gradually transform silence into your sharpest weapon. Number 2, move in silence, let success echo. In this fast-paced and noisy world, people often feel the need to broadcast everything they do, seeking validation from others before they've even achieved anything significant. But is that really necessary? A Stoic would tell you, work in silence and let success be your voice. Marcus Aurelius once said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. Instead of talking about what you plan to do, just do it. Let your actions speak for themselves. Don't fall into the trap of boasting. Empty promises are merely a disguised form of procrastination. The more you talk about your goals, the more energy you waste instead of actually pursuing them. Speaking too soon not only creates unnecessary pressure, but also fosters complacency before you've even accomplished anything. Think of a weightlifter training for competition. He doesn't need to post every single workout on social media or announce to the world that he will become a champion. Instead, he quietly puts in the work, lifting heavier weights each day, strengthening himself in silence. And then, one day, when he steps onto the competition platform, his performance will be the loudest statement of all. Are you training yourself in the same way? Or are you letting words overshadow your actions? Working in silence doesn't mean isolating yourself or disconnecting from the world. It means staying focused on your journey without being distracted by external validation. Why? Because constantly talking about your plans can trick your mind into feeling a false sense of accomplishment, simply because you've spoken about them. Psychology calls this the social reality effect, where the brain releases dopamine when we receive recognition from others, reducing our actual motivation to act. Successful people understand that silence is one of the most powerful tools they have. Stoics believe that you are your greatest asset. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Don't be afraid of being misunderstood or judged for working in silence. Let people doubt you. let them laugh. When you succeed, they will be silent. And if you fail, no one needs to know. Just get up and keep going. Your resilience doesn't need an audience, but your results will demand their attention. So, how can you apply this philosophy to your own life? Start with these 3 principles. First, keep your biggest goals private. Let your plans remain your secret, shared only with those who truly need to know. This helps you avoid unnecessary pressure from others and stay fully committed to taking action. Let each step forward be a solid one, unshaken by external expectations or judgment. Second, train your discipline. Don't let the satisfaction of being acknowledged derail your progress. Work as if no one is watching, and let your results speak for themselves. Success doesn't come from words. It comes from the countless unseen hours of dedication and effort. Third, learn to enjoy the journey. When you stop seeking recognition, you will find fulfillment in the process itself. Success, when it comes, will simply be a bonus, not the sole purpose. Your quiet persistence isn't a sign of weakness. It's a reflection of your inner strength. Are you ready to take action without needing anyone to know? Do you have the patience to let your success speak for itself? If your answer is yes, then stay silent and start today. And one day, when people look up to your achievements, remember, it won't be the sound of your words they hear, but the undeniable echo of your dedication and perseverance. If this message has made you pause for a moment in the rush of life, to reflect on your path and the power of silence, hit the like button. Not to prove anything to others, but as a sign to yourself that you are stepping closer to change. And if you want to continue this journey, quietly honing your craft and letting success find its voice, subscribe to the channel. No need for grand declarations, just steady, unwavering progress. I'll be here, walking this path with you. Number 3, small steps, unshakable progress. We are often tempted by stories of overnight success, someone becoming wealthy in a single night, an athlete reaching the peak of their career after one competition, or an entrepreneur skyrocketing after launching a product. But these are merely the visible tip of the iceberg. Behind the dazzling spotlight are years of practice, silent effort, and unseen dedication. Every great achievement is built upon steady, persistent steps taken over time. How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself? This question from Epictetus is not just a reminder, it is a wake-up call. How much longer will you wait before you start building the life you truly want? How much longer will you chase shortcuts instead of accepting that only perseverance and consistent small steps will take you far? We don't have to look far to see examples of this persistence. Think of Leonardo da Vinci, the genius of the Renaissance. Before completing the Mona Lisa, he spent over a decade refining each brushstroke, studying the intricacies of anatomy, light, and shadow. He was never in a rush, never reckless, just persistently perfecting each tiny detail to create a timeless masterpiece. Like him, we too can build our lives upon unshakable steps, unaffected by impatience or temporary setbacks. So how can we apply this philosophy to our daily lives? Start with a simple principle. One small step every day without stopping. Do you want to improve your health? Don't force yourself to run 10 kilometers on the first day. Just commit to 10 minutes of movement daily, but never quit. After a year, you'll see the transformation. Do you want to read more books? Don't attempt to finish 50 books in a month. Read just 10 pages a day, consistently. After a year, you'll have read nearly 20 books. Do you want to advance in your career? Stop looking for instant breakthroughs. Instead, learn one new thing each day. Refine one small skill. That is the true path to long-term success. A clear testament to this principle comes from James Clear, author of Atomic Habits. He speaks of the 1% rule, a philosophy of continuous but minor improvement. If you improve just 1% each day, by the end of a year, you'll be nearly 37 times better than when you started. But if you decline by 1% daily, in a year, you'll be left with almost nothing. This proves that success is not about speed, it is about relentless forward motion. In the end, those who persist are the ones who win. However, theory remains just theory without concrete action. So why not start today with simple yet effective exercises? The 1% rule helps you progress little by little without feeling overwhelmed. Choose a skill or habit you want to improve and dedicate just 5 to 10 minutes daily to it. Whether it's learning a new word or doing 10 push-ups, the key is consistency, never skipping a day. Every night before you sleep, write down 3 small things you did well that day. This not only allows you to see your progress, but also keeps you motivated to continue. Additionally, try the Reflect to Advance exercise. Spend 5 minutes each week asking yourself, how have I improved compared to last week? And write down your answer. When you look back at your steady, unwavering steps, you'll realize you've come further than you ever imagined. Of course, there will be days when laziness and procrastination creep in. When that happens, train your discipline with the self-control challenge. Choose an action you don't feel like doing, but know is beneficial for you, and do it immediately without overthinking. This practice helps you conquer yourself, building the habit of action instead of endless hesitation. Why can water carve through stone? Not because of its strength, but because of its persistence. If you want to conquer anything in life, be like water, steady, unhurried, but unstoppable. No one succeeds overnight, and those who endure are the ones who ultimately stand at the summit. So, what is the most important lesson to remember? No one achieves success overnight. Behind every great achievement are thousands of silent hours of effort. Each day, take just one small step, but let it be unshakable. Focus on the process, not the result. Success is not about what you accomplish in a single day, but what you consistently commit to over the years. Let your success speak for itself, but never let impatience cloud your determination. Work in silence, persist step by step, and let your success make the noise. Number 4, accept reality, own your response. There is an undeniable truth. Life does not unfold the way we want it to. Injustice, failure, pain, all of these are inevitable parts of the human journey. But as Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The only thing we can control is not the external world, but how we respond to it. Accepting reality and mastering our reactions is not an act of surrender, but the first step in transforming adversity into strength. Imagine you are a marathon runner, navigating a rugged path with steep climbs and harsh weather. You cannot change the terrain or the weather conditions, but you can change how you adapt to them. You could complain about the difficult road, or you could adjust your breathing, your pace, and your strategy to keep moving forward. This is the difference between those defeated by reality and those who turn it into a stepping stone for growth. A prime example of this philosophy is Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and survivor of the Auschwitz concentration camp. He lost his family, lost his freedom, but never lost control over his spirit. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, he writes, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." Frankl could not change the brutality of the concentration camp, but he could change how he faced it, by seeking meaning even in suffering and using that to keep going. He did not let circumstances define him. He mastered his response. Have you ever felt that life is unfair when you see someone else start with more advantages, while you struggle with countless obstacles? That feeling is completely natural. But ask yourself, does resentment change reality? Or does it just waste your time and energy, which could be better spent moving forward? The truth is, success doesn't come from having the best circumstances, but from making the most of what you have to achieve results. As Seneca said, "It does not matter what you bear, but how you bear it." Take a look at the life of Howard Schultz, who transformed Starbucks from a small chain of stores into a global brand. To better understand this philosophy, born into a poor family, he witnessed his father lose his job when he was young, which gave him a deep understanding of life's uncertainties. Instead of letting his circumstances crush him, Schultz used them as motivation to create a business model that not only succeeded, but also cared for its employees, offering healthcare even to part-time workers. He accepted the reality of societal injustices, but he didn't let them embitter him. He took control of his response by acting to change them. So, what's the practical advice for you? When faced with adversity, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask yourself, "What can I learn from this?" When you experience failure, don't drown in self-doubt or helplessness, but find ways to adapt, adjust, and keep moving forward. Every time you choose to respond positively and responsibly, you are strengthening yourself. Looking back, the greatest people are not those who have never failed, but those who do not allow failure to define them. Abraham Lincoln lost numerous elections before becoming President of the United States. Vincent van Gogh sold just one painting through conventional means, instead of trading his art for food and painting supplies while he was alive. Nick Vujicic was born without arms or legs, but became an inspiring speaker to millions. They didn't let their circumstances limit them. They didn't complain. They acted, and the world had to listen. So, what about you? Will you continue to complain about reality, or will you take control of your response and turn it into a story worth remembering? Only you can answer that. We've come halfway, and I want to congratulate you for your patience and determination in following along. To mark this important milestone, don't forget to leave a comment with the phrase, "Success Speaks." I would love to hear your thoughts and feedback on what we've just explored. Your response will help me improve and bring even better content. Each part of this video contributes to building a comprehensive strategy, bringing you closer to success. Keep going, because the next sections will offer you practical steps to change your life. Number 5. Quiet effort, loud results. There's an undeniable truth in life. The most resounding successes often don't come from those who talk the most, but from those who quietly work without pause. In today's world, where people race to share their achievements and flaunt even the smallest victories on social media, choosing to work in silence might seem out of place. But it's this very silence that forms the strongest foundation for lasting success. When you focus on action, without needing applause or the spotlight, your success will find its own way to echo. Imagine you're building a house. People only see the beautiful roof or the meticulously decorated walls, but few know about the first bricks you laid, the careful foundation you built underground. It's these silent efforts that keep the house standing strong against storms. Life is the same. The successes you achieve in the future are the results of hundreds, even thousands of unseen hours of work. Every time you fail but stand back up, every time you push a little further when you feel like giving up, that's when you're laying the groundwork for your success. Many people mistakenly believe that to succeed, they must always be at the center of attention, constantly proving their worth to others. But that only makes them more easily distracted and dependent on external validation. When you focus on being praised, you drift away from your true goals. You start working not out of passion or purpose, but from the desire to be recognized. This not only diminishes the quality of your work, but also disconnects you from yourself. On the other hand, when you work in silence, you free yourself from the pressure of pleasing others. You devote your full attention to the process, to each small step, every tiny detail in your work. It's this focus that allows you to achieve results far beyond expectations. You don't need to shout for the world to know you're working hard. Your results will speak for themselves at the right time, and that will be the loudest echo. However, maintaining the spirit of silent work isn't always easy. There will be days when you feel tired, when self-doubt creeps in. There will be moments when you wonder if your efforts are worth it when no one seems to notice. But remember, silence isn't a sign of failure. It's a space for you to focus, to cultivate patience and resilience. Don't let the absence of praise discourage you. Every second you dedicate to your work is another brick laid in the foundation of your future success. On this journey, the most important thing is to believe in yourself. Believe that every effort, no matter how small, holds value. Believe that success doesn't come instantly, but is the result of a long process that demands unwavering perseverance and endurance. Understand that not every effort is immediately visible, but that doesn't make it any less important. Each small step forward, every challenge you overcome, brings you closer to your goal. When you grasp and accept this, you'll see that working in silence isn't a sacrifice, it's a smart choice. You won't let yourself be swept up in the noise or the judgments of others. You'll preserve a quiet space for creativity, growth, and self-improvement. You'll know that recognition from others is fleeting, but the satisfaction you find within yourself is what truly lasts. And then, one day, when you've journeyed far enough, when you've gathered enough experience and knowledge, success will find you. It won't be a fleeting success, but a true, enduring one, built on the solid foundation of your quiet efforts. You won't need to speak about your worth, because what you've achieved will say it all. Your silence will become your loudest echo, resonating farther than any words ever could. Number 6. Purpose over praise. Perhaps there have been times when you found yourself caught in the whirlwind of seeking validation from others. We work hard not just to achieve our goals, but sometimes to hear a compliment, a nod of approval from family, friends, or colleagues. But Stoic philosophy emphasizes a different principle: focus on the goal, not the praise. The recognition of others is fleeting, while the true value lies in understanding what you're doing and why you're doing it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. We love ourselves, yet we let the opinions of others dictate our emotions and actions." So the question is, what would happen if you stopped chasing applause and started living in alignment with your own values? Imagine you're climbing a towering mountain. Along the way, there are people at the base cheering you on, shouting words of encouragement. Those compliments might give you a temporary boost, but will they help you navigate slippery slopes or push through moments of exhaustion? Only your goal of conquering the summit provides lasting motivation. When challenges arise, the cheers will fade into the distance, leaving just you and your determination to reach the peak. Now, picture an artist who dedicates their entire life to creating beautiful works of art, not to be showcased in museums or to win awards, but for the pure passion and freedom of creation. Picasso, one of the greatest painters of the 20th century, once said, "The purpose of art is washing the dust of daily life off our souls." Everything he did was for the sake of art, for personal expression, with no concern for praise or fame. If he had created solely for recognition, perhaps his works wouldn't have retained their value and authenticity. So, how can you cultivate this mindset in your daily life? First, ask yourself, why am I doing this? If the answer is to please others, it's time to reconsider. Every action, every effort should stem from your own values and goals. Don't let yourself be distracted by temporary applause, because it can disappear at any moment. Another strategy from Stoic philosophy is to practice humility. Work quietly without flaunting your achievements. Epictetus once taught, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." Don't talk about what you'll do, let your actions speak for themselves. This not only helps you stay focused, but also builds a strong inner resilience. If you still find it difficult to let go of the need for recognition, think about the consequences of relying on praise. What happens if that recognition never comes? Will you abandon your goals simply because no one sees your efforts? Stoicism reminds us that the only thing within your control is your own actions, not the reactions of others. When you start living by this mindset, you'll discover something remarkable: inner freedom. You'll no longer be bound by the judgment of others, and that will unlock your true potential. Success will no longer be something you need to prove to others. It will be a journey you're proud to have undertaken for yourself. To conclude, remember the words of Marcus Aurelius. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. True happiness and success don't come from external praise, but from staying steadfast in your goals and values. Let success speak for itself, and you just focus on your path. If you have thoughts, questions, or personal stories about pursuing your goals without seeking validation, feel free to share in the comments. Whether it's a fresh perspective or a personal experience, your story might just become an inspiration to someone else. Through these honest conversations, we can explore the best approaches for each unique journey. Number 7. Fail forward, rise relentlessly. That sinking feeling when you've poured your heart and soul into something, only to have it fall short of your expectations. But it's precisely in those moments, when it seems like everything is crumbling, that you're granted the opportunity to truly look inward. The Stoics didn't shy away from failure. They faced it with calmness, seeing it as an essential part of the journey toward growth. To them, failure wasn't something to be ashamed of, it was a necessary stepping stone to success. Thomas Edison's story is a shining example of this spirit. Before inventing the electric light bulb, Edison failed over 1,000 times in his experiments. When asked about those failures, he calmly responded, "I have not failed. I've just found 1,000,000 ways that won't work." Edison didn't view failure as an endpoint, but as an integral part of the creative process. Each setback brought him closer to understanding the path he was on, and each lesson nudged him nearer to success. His persistence and steady composure are the very embodiment of Stoic philosophy. Work in silence and let success speak for itself. So, why is failure so important? In Stoic philosophy, we cannot control every outcome in life, but we can always control how we respond to adversity. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Failure isn't just a challenge, it's an opportunity to strengthen your mental resilience. Instead of fearing or avoiding it, the Stoic chooses to confront failure, to learn from it, and to let it guide their progress. Look at Michael Jordan's journey, and you'll see this principle in action. Before becoming a basketball legend, Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team for not being good enough. For many, that could have been a crushing blow. But for Jordan, it was just another challenge to overcome. He spent the entire summer practicing, refining even the smallest skills. Later, at the height of his career, Jordan shared, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times, I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." Jordan wasn't just a great athlete, he was a symbol of resilience, persistence, and an unwavering refusal to give up. So, how do we overcome failure and keep moving forward? First, accept reality. Failure is inevitable in any journey. What matters is how you face it, with calmness, without letting it shake your belief in yourself. Seneca once emphasized, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Failure isn't as bad as you think. It's simply a part of life, and you can always learn from it. Next, focus on what you can control. You can't change what has already happened, but you can absolutely control your attitude and actions afterward. Instead of blaming yourself or others, ask, "What have I learned from this failure? What can I do differently next time?" The answers to those questions are the keys to your growth. Success isn't about how many failures you avoid, but about how many times you rise after falling. The Stoics didn't seek an easy, obstacle-free life. They sought growth through challenges and inner freedom through control of their emotions and actions. Imagine yourself as a rock in a rushing river. The water may smooth your surface, but it cannot wash away your core. You are not defined by your failures, but by how you rise after each fall. Let failure be your companion on this journey. Act in silence, focus on what you can control, and let the results speak for themselves. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it's endurable, then endure it." Stop complaining. Failure is an indispensable part of the path to success. But with the Stoic spirit, you don't just overcome it, you rise stronger than ever before. We've just explored 7 key principles of Stoicism, principles that not only help you focus on yourself, but also guide you toward a life of strength, resilience, and deep meaning. But knowledge, no matter how profound, is meaningless unless we turn it into action. Don't seek validation. Don't let the noise of the world shake your path. Instead, quietly refine yourself. Stay committed to each small step, because one day, your success will be the loudest response of all. No need for grand gestures, no need to prove anything. Just live true to your values and let the world take notice. If these words have resonated with you, if you feel a spark of inspiration stirring within, don't forget to hit like and help spread this message to more people. Share your thoughts. Every comment is a piece of the collective journey we are walking together. Send this video to someone dear to you. Who knows? It might be exactly what they need to hear right now. And most importantly, subscribe to the channel, because even more insightful and inspiring content is on its way to you. Your journey is not one you walk alone, and together we'll keep moving forward.